Now it's prediction time. Who do I think are going to be the top 4 teams at the end of the group stages? But I just can't make my predictions before first going into a rant about the format of this World Cup. This probably deserves its own segment, but here I go anyways. I think it is an absolute shame that, mired by the greed of the BCCI at a time when the sport is at its richest and strongest, we have fewer teams participating in a World Cup. The first thing you may ask, what does this have to do with the BCCI's greed? It's very simple. This format ensures that India play at least 9 games. The BCCI can then sell a minimum of 9 games to its advertisers and broadcasters in India. More games means more advertising dollars, means the broadcast rights cost more, means more money in the BCCI's pockets. But fine, you might say. Fewer teams means better quality cricket, better quality games. But just hold on. Now, this format meant that Afghanistan just qualified by the skin of their teeth. It would have been a shame if Afghanistan hadn't been here in this World Cup. As you'll see, they may or may not win a lot of games, but they will play a great brand of cricket that will entertain and that will provide a lot of joy to the neutrals watching. The other thing that this robs you of as a cricket fan is it means that the sport stops growing. So apart from the 10-12 nations that are playing the game, you're not going to see the sport expand. You won't see the sport become a major player in the US, in other European countries, in China, in Africa. Again, so what do you think? Let me tell you. What if cricket was a big sport in the US? What if LeBron James played cricket? What if cricket was a big sport in Portugal? What if Ronaldo played cricket? As a cricket fan, you want to see the best athletes in the world participating in cricket, but you're never going to get that with the BCCI and their greed in charge. Now that that's off my chest, let me make my predictions. I think India, Australia, and England are a lock for 3 of those 4 spots. We've already talked about England, so let's take a quick look at India and Australia. India, as ever, are a big batting power, built on the backbone of their top 3, Rohit Sharma, Shikhar Dhawan, and Virat Kohli. Virat Kohli, in 50 ODIs since the start of 2017, averages a scarcely believable 84 at a strike rate of 99, with 1500s in those 50 games. He will be motivated because the one thing he lacks is silverware as captain. He does have the test mace. India is the number 1 test nation in the world, but he lacks ICC limited overs silverware, and he also lacks an ICC tournament in which India has won, and he has put his stamp on it as his tournament. He will have the drive. He will be motivated. India also has a much improved bowling lineup, led by their spin twins Yadav and Chahal, and the fast bowler Jasprit Bumrah. Their only weakness is an over-reliance on their top 3, with India often folding for a low score when the top 3 gets out cheaply. However, with Dhoni finding the fountain of youth in the IPL and the warm-up games, those concerns may be taken care of. Let's take a look now at Australia. They have had a horrific 2018 in ODIs. However, they've recovered brilliantly in 2019, winning a lot of their games. And with Warner and Smith returning, they bring the stability to the batting that Australia lacked in 2018. In Glenn Maxwell, they have arguably the best middle-order ODI bat in the world. And in Pat Cummins and Mitchell Starc, 2 excellent fast bowlers that can get wickets with the old and new ball. The only thing that could derail them is the balance in the dressing room. Aaron Finch is a new captain. How does he get along with Steve Smith and David Warner returning? How does that dynamic work? It seems to be gelling fine so far. But you heard it here first. I would not be surprised at all if there are reports of dressing room turmoil in the Australian camp in this World Cup. That leaves the 4th slot, and I think it's wide open. So we're going to take a look at all the countries and how I rate their chances. We have Sri Lanka. Unfortunately, they're one of those countries like Pakistan and West Indies where there seems to be constant upheaval in the board and the team. And that happened again just before this World Cup. They dropped 5 regulars, they brought in fresh faces, and a captain who hasn't played ODIs since the last World Cup. They have no batsman or bowler in the ODI top 30 rankings. They may spring a surprise, but I don't think they're going to challenge for the top 4. Next, we have Bangladesh. One thing they don't lack in is experience. Shakib Al Hasan is currently the number 1 all-rounder in ODI cricket. Mustafizur is bowling well, Mushfiqur is batting well, and Mushraf Murtaza, their captain, is an excellent leader. Ultimately, I think their game is a little bit behind the modern requirements. In general, they look to slow the game down to their pace, with spin and a measured approach to batting. At the end of the day, I just don't think it's going to be enough. Then we have Afghanistan. I think there's no doubt they are going to be fun to watch. In Rashid Khan, they have maybe the premier spinner in the shorter format. They have a top order in Mohammad Shehzad and Hazratullah Zazai that is not going to die wondering. You might see scores of 80 in 10 overs or scores of 20 for 2. In either case, it's going to be fast-paced, action-packed, and exciting to watch. But let's not forget, in last year's Asia Cup, they took Bangladesh and Pakistan to the last over before losing and tied a game with India. At the end of the day, they're probably too new to this level to pose a serious challenge, but don't be surprised if they spring an upset or two. Next up is New Zealand. In Kane Williamson, they have Captain Cool and one of the 5 best all-round batsmen in the world. Ross Taylor seems to be in the form of his life. Martin Guptill is as dangerous as ever. And Trent Boult is one of the 5 best fast bowlers in the world. If there's swing on offer in those first 10 overs, he'll be sure to get it. But I do think they're going to miss Brendan McCullum and his driving force, his instinct, his passion, and they'll miss those home conditions that they used so perfectly in the last edition of the World Cup. I expect them to challenge right throughout, but in the end fall just short of a semi-final spot. Next up, South Africa. On the plus side, they have David Miller, a middle-order batsman that can chase down any target in ODI cricket. They have Kagiso Rabada, the best fast bowler in the world, and they have, as always, a fielding unit that will save them 20 to 30 runs every game. On the minus side, they seem a little unsettled. Hashim Amla is going through the leanest patch of his career, and their fast bowlers all seem to be carrying some niggle or the other. At the end of the day, when push comes to shove, I think that Choker's tag is going to stick, and in those crunch matches where they need points to qualify for the semifinals, they are going to fall short. That leaves us with 2 teams fighting for one spot, Pakistan and West Indies. Pakistan, we're going to take an in-depth look at them in the next segment. But just in summary, they have had a horrible build-up to this World Cup. They've lost 10 straight ODIs. They made some strange selections. But does any of it ever mean anything for Pakistan? They blow hot, they blow cold. At the end of the day, I think they just won't have enough either. That brings us to West Indies, my pick for the 4th spot after Australia, England, and India. In Evan Lewis and Shai Hope, they have 2 top-order batsmen who are playing the form of their lives. Chris Gayle seems to be back to his stand and deliver best. Jason Holder is an excellent leader. He leads from the front with both ball and bat. They seem to have that swag back, that West Indies flair. They have some quick bowlers that bowl really, really quick. And they have Andre Russell, an electric fielder, a gun arm from the outfield, and a batsman who, when push comes to shove, he can give you 30 from 12. He can give you 100 off 50. And he gives them the confidence to chase any total that they will face. I think it's an easy prediction that they're going to smash more boundaries than any other team in this World Cup. So that's my final 4, Australia, India, England, and West Indies. That's who I think is going to make it. I do quickly want to say who I would like to make it. Not as a fan necessarily, but from a narrative and stories perspective. Which teams qualifying will make the greatest story? So there's 4 very clear teams for me there. One is England. Their qualification would be just reward for 4 years of hard work and would form a case study for years and years to come. The next is West Indies, a team that I think is going to make it, and it would be a great story if and when they do. Their brand of cricket they play is exciting, and an exciting West Indies team is always good for world cricket. The third team is Pakistan, not just as a Pakistani, but if Pakistan make it to the semi-finals, they're not going to make it on the back of boring clinical cricket. There's going to be some exciting cricket. There's going to be some games they're going to rescue from the death. There's going to be some games where they are absolutely going to annihilate the opposition. So that would be a great story. And the 4th team, which I think is extremely unlikely, but Afghanistan. If Afghanistan make it, what a story that would be. From the 3rd division of world cricket in 2009 to World Cup semi-finalists in 2019. That would be the stuff that sports legends are made of.